Ellie asks Helena to be Dewey's defense attorney because she is the only trusted person who would agree to defend him. Helena objects to the trial because she believes they are not qualified to do such a thing, but Ellie holds her accountable. The trial begins, and Dewey refuses to confess to the crime. Harry testifies against him in court, recounting everything. Gordy, acting as the prosecutor, presents the evidence to the jury to determine Dewey's guilt. Eventually, a date is set for the sentencing hearing. Ellie is unsure what to do if the jury declares him guilty. She decides to threaten Dewey into confessing to the crime, but she is shocked to find him beaten. She learns that Blake tried to force him to confess, so she decides to expel Blake and dismiss him for breaking the law. She then tries to interrogate Dewey and threatens to sentence him to death if he doesn't confess, but Dewey still refuses. The next day, the sentencing hearing takes place, and the jury finds Dewey guilty. Ellie does not reveal the punishment she intends to impose on Dewey. She requests another session to make a decision. Suddenly, Dewey decides to confess and admits that he killed Cassandra because Harry believed she was controlling them, and he also saw it that way. He says Harry would be happy with her death and admits that Campbell also helped him. Ellie orders the jury members to arrest Campbell, and the trial is postponed to the following day. Ellie spends 3 days struggling to make a decision. The jury pressures her to announce her ruling, fearing that people might turn against her if they perceive her as weak and unable to make decisions. Ellie, who loves and respects the law, listens to someone explaining the principles of governance, emphasizing that a leader must be firm in their decisions and that the murder that occurred is a blow to the system, requiring a strong response. This leads Ellie to decide to summon someone to testify against Campbell. However, they are too afraid to speak, fearing Campbell might harm them. Ellie promises protection, and the witness states that Campbell never admitted involvement in Cassandra's death, but they suspect he might have committed the crime. They conclude that they have only two options: either let him go due to lack of evidence or sentence him to death, as any other punishment would make him more dangerous. The next day, the trial resumes, and Ellie sentences Dewey to execution. She and the jury members head into the forest to carry out the sentence. Grizz, Luke, and Blake prepare to fire their guns simultaneously so no one feels solely responsible. However, Grizz cannot do it and drops his gun. Ellie takes his place and fires with the rest of the group, killing Dewey. Ellie breaks down emotionally, returns home, and is overwhelmed with guilt, unable to bear it. She blames Will for pressuring her and staining her hands with blood. Will apologizes and leaves. Time passes, and Ellie establishes new rules, such as a curfew after midnight and deducting food rations for anyone absent from work. Harry falls into depression after everyone learns he wished for Cassandra's death. Meanwhile, Will grows closer to Haley, who starts to develop feelings for him. They set aside time daily for recreation, such as playing soccer or dancing together, with Ellie announcing the results. Everyone seems to enjoy themselves. Weekly reports are submitted to the committee, with each member responsible for a specific task. For example, Gordy leads a group searching for a way out of the town, while Grizz and his group focus on finding alternative food sources, suggesting they learn farming before their food supply runs out. They estimate they have enough food until summer, but must start growing their own crops. The discovery frightens people, prompting Ellie to reassure them. She tells them they are the first humans on this planet and names their new town New Hill. She assures time passes, and Ellie establishes new rules, such as a curfew after midnight and deducting food rations for anyone absent from work. Harry falls into depression after everyone learns he wished for Cassandra's death. Meanwhile, Will grows closer to Haley, who starts to develop feelings for him. They set aside time daily for recreation, such as playing soccer or dancing together, with Ellie announcing the results. Everyone seems to enjoy themselves. Weekly reports are submitted to the committee, with each member responsible for a specific task. For example, Gordy leads a group searching for a way out of the town, while Grizz and his group focus on finding alternative food sources, suggesting they learn farming before their food supply runs out. They estimate they have enough food until summer, but must start growing their own crops. The discovery frightens people, prompting Ellie to reassure them. She tells them they are the first humans on this planet and names their new town New Hill. She assures them this is only a temporary phase until they find a way to return to their original world. She gives them hope that their families are still alive, but in a different place. She succeeds in influencing everyone positively, and he is very happy. Thanksgiving Day comes, and they get married and eat together, except for Campbell, who stays alone at home. He keeps Elle locked up with him, and signs of beating and violence appear on Elle's body. On the day of the holiday, she decides to cook a special meal for him, and she puts a certain type of cleaning chemicals in order to poison him. He finds it in the plate of sweets that he loves, and Campbell is very happy, but suddenly he changes his mind. They go to church and celebrate the holiday with the rest of the people, taking the sweets with him. She is very afraid and tries to stop him, but Campbell insists that they go and they all sit and eat. Elle does not know what to do, and she sees those around her cutting into her sweets, so she decides to eat some as well. After a while, the theater party part comes, and Alexa is in charge of it, and she acts out everything that happens in reality in a theatrical form, and she plays the role of the one who, and she appears in the image of the evil witch who controls the fate of each one of them and who killed one of them to avenge her sister, deeply upsetting Ellie. However, she doesn't want to show that she's upset with the play because it bothers her. She decides to leave. The actors in the play come to apologize to Ellie, explaining it was an improvisational play and no offense was intended. Suddenly, Ellie feels stomach pain, and others experience the same pain. Ellie has a seizure and is taken to the clinic where no one has medical knowledge. Haley and Gordy take responsibility, figure out how to prepare IV fluids, and administer them to the patients. Ellie and the others recover and return home feeling better. The dusty and weary Willie, who is always beside Ellie. You feel that he loves her because of his care for her. She talks to him and tells him to try to understand his feelings toward Ellie. She is certain that he loves her and cannot live without her. Willie truly feels his love for Ellie the moment he senses he might lose her. Ellie returns home with Campbell, and there, Campbell waits for her until she wakes up and asks her about the things she put in the sweets she made for him. Ellie denies knowing anything about what he's talking about. He tells her he knows she wanted to poison him because she is scared of him, and that he has lived his whole life with people fearing him. However, he was never afraid of anything until the moment he was about to die because of her, and at that moment, he feared her. He feels happy about this fear because he rarely experiences genuine emotions. He tells her they are alike because she was willing to poison everyone at the party just so she wouldn't confess to the act. Ellie breaks down and tells him she is not like him and will never be like him. She goes to sit in the church, regretting what happened. Helena joins her, and suddenly, Ellie notices blood on her hand. Helena asks about the blood, and Ellie tries to hide her hand. But Helena reassures her and promises not to tell anyone. Ellie then tells Helena about how Campbell abuses her every time she decides to leave or do anything outside the house. She says she never knows when he will hurt her and feels like one day he might kill her. Helena begs Ellie to live in her house and promises to protect her. Ellie agrees and secretly moves to Helena's house without Campbell knowing. When Campbell comes looking for her, Helena refuses to let him into the house. Ellie finally sleeps peacefully, free from fear. The next day, Ellie wakes up and suddenly finds a message from Campbell. It's a video he filmed of Helena while she was sleeping. It's a form of threat to force Ellie to return home. Ellie decides to escape and wanders alone in the forest. Meanwhile, Ellie tries to figure out who poisoned the others. She asks the committee to interrogate everyone who cooked at home and everyone who brought food with them. They suspect Alexa because she opposes Ellie and might want to harm her. They decide to arrest her. Alexa is interrogated by Alec and Grace for hours and is locked in the basement. They force her to change her clothes in front of them, which humiliates her. Alexa decides to complain to Ellie, but Ellie tells her there's no humiliation in this because people were poisoned, and it's natural to suspect anyone who opposes her. Ellie then leaves Alexa behind. At that time, Ellie, who feels guilty, decides to confess to Ellie that she was the one who poisoned people during the celebration. Ellie is shocked and can't believe Ellie could do such a thing. Ellie asks Ellie to arrest her and explains everything Campbell did to her. She convinces Ellie that arresting her would protect her. Ellie agrees, but decides not to tell anyone about the charges against her because she didn't mean to harm anyone other than Campbell. Later, Ellie gathers a few people in the church and proposes holding presidential elections. She announces that they will choose a candidate from 4 nominees and that she will be one of them. She invites anyone who wants to run to write their name and sets the election date for 3 weeks later. Everyone feels happy and sees this as a form of democracy, a change from Ellie's previous indecisiveness. Each person begins to nominate themselves for the presidency or council. Campbell decides to nominate Harry without telling him. Haley notices this, confronts Campbell, and realizes he wants to exploit Harry for his own benefit. She decides to warn Harry and prevent Campbell from manipulating him. However, Campbell has already gained control over Harry and encouraged him to nominate himself, promising that Harry would represent the people if elected.